Hi. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. And I hope everybody is having a good Tuesday. For you all that are over in the polar vortex, I hope you're staying warm and staying safe. Staying off these roads. They don't really need you. Just keep warm, keep safe. I would brag because, here in Seattle, we get such crappy weather so often. Usually people are forever, oh, your weather is just so horrible and all this stuff. And then it, it's like, wow, somebody else gets crappier, especially winter weather, than we get. And a swath of people get it. It's a little unknown. It's about, I think, 46 here today. It's gray, but we're used to the gray. So gray doesn't bother us here and stuff. But the fact that I'm probably warmer than the majority of Americans is just like, wow. But I can't even dish you off because I feel so bad for you because Lord, that's cold. Wherever you're at, that's cold. Okay. Um, so, but since you are in, you might as well sit and listen to me for a moment as I do my weekly review of Love and Hip Hop New York. And, kind of, an overview of what happened, but along with, as usual, some of the best lessons you could ever get about dating from a show. There are some really good lessons on that show, although it's very tragic that this is probably the way people are living their lives. Hey, I could get a lesson from anywhere. I'm never above getting lessons from the oddest places, okay, and stuff. That's a person that's really about learning and growing. Is you could get lessons from good, bad, weird, tragic situations, really happy situations. You can catch lessons. You can get the lessons and apply them to your life, whether they happen to you or happen to somebody else and stuff. You can really get those lessons and apply them to your life and stuff. And so this week, we open up as Amina's talking to her friend about the tragedy of her and Peter. And, figuring out that he's been sleeping with the mother of his children this whole time that they've been married and all this stuff. And she doesn't know what to do. And she's not going to be like Tara. She's not going to be cheated on, while he, is with her and stuff. She's not going to do that, although she's done that, so I'm not really sure whatever and stuff. But her friend is like, I can't believe you're out here. He's got you looking really crazy and stuff. And she's just like, well, she's like, why are you with him? Oh, he makes me happy. And I'm thinking, you're not happy now. What do you mean he makes you happy? You're not happy now and stuff. I just can't see myself leaving him and all this. See, there's your tragic mistake, ladies, for any of you. My mom says this all the time. You need to have a plan B. You always need to have plan B. I'm not planning on leaving my husband. But, if stuff don't work out, if he starts flipping the script, if he decides he wants to see other people or whatever, if those sort of things start, if there's huge betrayal that starts happening in my marriage and stuff, I can live without him. And you ought to know that you can live without anybody. I mean, really, you can live without this relationship, especially if the relationship is destructive. It's causing you a lot of pain and sorrow. There's a lot of betrayal and lying. Yeah, you can live without that. I mean, really, you'll go on. It may hurt a little while, but you'll go on and you'll be okay. In my previous marriage, I thought, it was really hard to leave. And I thought, oh, this is really hard. And it was really hard to leave. I'm not going to lie. Even though that marriage was really bad, it was hard to leave. But once I left, I was really happy that I left. And yes, for a while, I had pain and I had sorrow and all that stuff. But the pain and sorrow did not last forever. They didn't even last as long as I thought they would. I don't even think they lasted a year, okay, and stuff. you know, I'd been in pain and sorrow in that relationship for a long, long time while I was in the relationship. I really think that, and my marriage was probably done 2 years before I actually booted him out. But really what I thought was going to be this long recovery time didn't really take that long and stuff, you know. And yeah, you can move on, you know, and stuff. And you need a plan B besides this person who at any moment could do something really stupid, you know, and stuff. You can't really depend on people like that. Human beings are you're too fragile, and other human beings are too fragile and stuff. And this sort of codependent thing is, oh my God, I don't think I can live without you, is not healthy for you and stuff, you know, because you have to be able to live without people. You know, what if people die? I mean, you have to be able to do that and stuff, you know. So her saying that is like, well, you know, all her saying, well, I'm not going to take him back, you know, with this. And so she's putting conditions on it. And I'm just thinking to myself, yeah, well, you're going to take him back. You know, whatever you're saying, you'll take him back really kind of no matter what he does. So we move on. And Peter is visiting the mother of his children, Tara. And, you know, she's changed locks on her doors, and she's saying she's moving, and he's, you know, he's just wondering what's going on. He's seen her, and he's trying to, I guess he's trying to rekindle some sort of, the thing is, in this episode, he was testing each set of waters, figuring out which would be the easiest to swim in. He tested Tara, and Tara was like, no, we're done. Okay, well, I'm changing locks. I'm moving me and these kids. We're through. We're done. Okay, you know, I'm not giving it up no more, dude. We're through. And then he tests the Amina waters, and as I'm going to say later, those were much easier to swim in. So he chose. The thing is, and this week's lesson is, you are the tiebreaker. You are the one that makes the decision. I'm always really surprised at how few women know how much power they have when it comes to how they're treated and what happens in a relationship. Really, you have all the power. You have the most power. Okay, you really do. And I've said this before about setting boundaries. There are one or two things that can happen when you set boundaries with people. Either they'll be like, oh, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not, you know, I'm not going to treat you the way that you want to be treated, which means that they'll leave out of your life. Hey, that is not a loss for you. Okay. You know, don't ever think it is. That's not a loss for you. That's like, whew, okay, I dodged that bullet. Or they're going to step up to the plate and do what you ask. Anything less than doing what you ask is, you know, out of the life, even if they're trying to figure out how to manipulate you or get you to, you know, let your boundaries down or let them, whatever else, if it's not doing what I need done to feel safe and loved and protected, then bye. Whatever else you do is a no-go. Okay, you have to face consequences for that and stuff. And if they leave out of your life, how is that? That is really not a tragedy for you. You have dodged a bullet. And if they do what you need for them to do, then that's really great too. You know, hey, any way it goes, you win. Okay? And instead of women knowing that, we give away all this power thinking, well, I have to be, you know, I have to be contrite. I have to do what he wants me to do for him to stay. But really, you're really unhappy in the relationship because the guy is, you know, like maybe like Peter, maybe a narcissist or emotional abuser or physical abuser or whatever and stuff. And you're doing all the work, really, because, you know, work in a relationship means, you know, maybe making a sacrifices, adjusting, changing, you know, thinking about your relationship and working on the relationship. You're doing all the work and he's really doing nothing. And so in the case of Amina and Tara, Peter was just trying to figure out who would be the easiest one to get back with. And so he asked Tara, and Tara's like, and he said before he was sat down with her, you know, on the little part, that he was going to try to maybe get some. I mean, this dude has no scruples whatsoever. I mean, this is the man with the least set of scruples I've ever seen in my life. Okay, and stuff, and he'd already said that, but she said no. And essentially, I'm not calling Tara some champion of women or some really smart woman. She's not. She wasted 13 years with a man that, whatever. Okay. He wasn't faithful. He didn't protect her. He didn't love her. He gave her 2 kids. He, didn't even provide her with a home. I just have to say, if you're with some man and he can't even put a roof over your head, girl, yeah, no. I mean, at the most basic level, okay? He can't even put a roof over your head? No. No. No, no. And so, but they did all that and stuff, and and she stayed. But at least at this point, she was like, no, I'm not going to give in. We're done. We're through. I'm not going to be going back and forth with you and your wife. Essentially, yeah, it is his wife. I don't really care how it happened. I don't really care what that means. I don't really care about the betrayal, what she thinks is betrayal after 13 years. He married her. And it's best that you get out of these people's picture. But she was the tiebreaker. She was the person who took her power back. And so, she was the person that said, no, I'm not going to put up with this, and bye, and stuff, and went on about her business. Now she's doing something else and trying to find another boyfriend and all the stuff, which I think is a bad idea because, somebody wasted 13 years and going through she really needs some introspective time, but most of us aren't really introspective. Most of us hop from relationship to relationship, and we hop from dysfunctional relationship to dysfunctional relationship because we never spend any time trying to figure out, what did I do wrong in that last relationship? Why did it end up the way it ended up, and stuff. And really, after that many years, she needed some time. She needs some time for introspection and stuff. But we see that's not going to happen. And of course, it's all his fault and stuff, which a good portion of it is. But, there's always enough fault to go around. Okay, so we move on, and we're at the story of Saigon and Erica Jean, who we haven't seen in a while, and she's coming in, and he's talking about, the child and the child talking, and them going to the speech therapist and all this stuff, and, saying that they really do need to, the doctor said that they needed to communicate better, and he'd like for her to move in. No, 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 and no again. No. This man has been emotionally abusive, verbally abusive. The week he was chasing her and throwing her purse around, almost physically abusive if the folks hadn't gotten in the middle of him. And it is. Every few seconds, if he doesn't get something he wants and whatever, she's in danger of her life, and stuff. And listen, a bad relationship will not turn good when you move in together. He's like, oh, we'll get to know each other when we move in. Yeah. You know each other already. It's already bad. You already have a really tumultuous relationship. Moving into the same house is only going to make that even worse. That's going to grow by infinity in how bad it's going to be. But of course, he's trying to convince her that she'll never meet the man of her dreams and all this stuff, which I thought was just like, really? She noticed it, but I thought I would have been like, listen, dude, bye. I just, well, it's never going to be like a romance novel. And, you're not going to run into somebody at the parking lot. That doesn't happen. I'm just thinking, are you telling this woman that you're it? Like, yeah, I'm it. So it's either me or nothing. And yeah, even the implication of some man telling me that would be enough for me to be like, yeah, no, bye. But of course, she's given all her power to him because everything he requests, everything he wants her to do, every hoop he wants her to jump through, this whole season she's been jumping through. So I'm sure she'll be saying, oh yeah, I'll move in with you, because she'll feel so lucky that she finally got the person that she'd been chasing forever and ever and ever. And stuff, and that'll just be it. So we come to the point of, now here's a couple I never talk about: Erica Mena and Sin and Rich. I never really talk about them or what they got going on, because it's just such a hot mess. It's just, but this week something happened, and Erica, with her sort of kissing Rich, and she comes back and tells Sin about the kiss, and Sin is just so upset, as she should be. It's a betrayal. You betrayed me. And Erica's, she's like, but she's like any man you've ever seen. She's trying to apologize, and she buys her this gift and all this stuff, and it's just, and I mean, Sin is really, really upset. And her and Rich get into a big argument and stuff. And Erica's just talking about she can't believe that he did that. And she really has to chase Sin, because Sin is the only person that really, and I'm thinking to myself, really, you just realize this after you betrayed the person, is that, their little relationship, really, the girl likes her and she really gives her what she needs. So why would you ever go back to someone who hasn't ever given you what you need? But Rich is like most men. He sees if you see a woman and she's with somebody else, and I don't care who it is, but I think to him it's a double insult, because it's another woman that she's left him for, and she's really happy with this woman and stuff. You want to make sure that you prove your little stinking manhood, okay? Your little little chumpy manhood, okay? Your little dickness, okay? Whatever, dudes. We get it and stuff. And so he has to, make his claim on Erica and all this stuff, and be a real jerk about it and everything. And it was just like, mostly what most of these men do in this show. It's just a lot of ego and a lot of, dudes with, really low self-esteem and low self-worth, and all their worth is through having sex with women, this kind of really hyper masculine thing, and stuff. And that's just it. They don't have any self-worth through anything else besides being able to score what they deem hot women and all this stuff. So, and then there's the situation with Joe and Tahiri, and her saying she's leaving him alone, but of course they're going to be friends, and and all this stuff. And I don't really know about, my personal thought of, you tie breaking that, you breaking that. My personal thought is, you can't be friends with people you've dated. I just, there's just not a way. I've never been friends with anybody I've ever dated. Never. There's never, especially if there's a lot of drama, and there was a lot of drama and all sorts of stuff. But I've never been that sort of person. Once we're broke up, we're broke up. We're done. We're through. What do we need to still be chit-chatting and talking for, and stuff? Maybe, I don't know, maybe they started off as friends, and she figures they can be friends again and stuff, but he doesn't have friends in mind. He's got something else in mind and all this stuff, and I think he's trying to marry her because he feels like if he marries her, she'll stay around, and she'll think of it as this big thing that he did and stuff, which is another disaster waiting to happen. And I'm thinking to myself, you two should not, don't ask her to marry you. Leave her alone. Let her go. But, you got a bunch of men with super egos and bad self-esteem. And so they're always out trying to prove something and stuff, and, these poor women are just, letting themselves being batted around like baseball bats and stuff. So there's the end part where Erica and Sin are sitting, and Sin's, like sitting there, and Erica's apologizing for all she's done and saying she won't do it again. And Sin's like, well, no, I just, maybe I'll call you later and stuff. And she's like, well, I got you this gift. She's like, oh yeah, I'll take the gift, but I'm not going to wear them. But she's like, no, I'm not gonna mess with you. I'm not gonna do anything with you and all this stuff. I'm just not. And I thought to myself, out of all the people on this show, how is it that Sin, who Rich Dollars called Little Chipotle, which is just like that is so, that was just mean, and petty, but I could see him doing that. But Sin would be the one with enough self-esteem and self-worth to not let betrayal go and just be like, oh yeah, it's okay for you to betray me, and you could just come back with a gift and I'll forgive you and it'll all be done. Seeing who that child looks about 20, about 22, 23, okay? And all the rest of these grown folks who are in their upper 20s, 30s, 40s are so stupid as to let people get away with all sorts of betrayal. But you know what? Little Chipotle has some power. Little Chipotle has some self-esteem. Little Chipotle knows when she's been betrayed and is not going to take it and let people do that to her. You know, Little Chipotle actually has some sense, okay? You know, and I'm just like, really? Out of all the folks on this show, she's the one that actually has enough sense to be like, listen, you betrayed me and I'm just not going to let it go. Okay. And I don't care about your sorry and all the stuff that you're saying, which I keep telling you, everybody with these little empty sorries and their little, you know, oh, I'm so sorry for you. Then, you know, whatever. Okay. With their little empty sorries. And she was the one that was like, I'm taking my power back and I'm not going to let you treat me badly. Okay, I'm just going to move on with my life and take your gift with me. Okay. And I was like, hey, great set. I was really shocked that she did that. I thought that she would forgive her because, you know, all the rest of these women on this show is just so stupid. It's just so stupid. You know, I thought that she'd forgive, but she didn't and stuff. And she was like, yeah, well, I'll talk to you sometime. And she left. And of course, Erica's there, you know, with egg on her face and looking like a fool because, yeah, the person who really did care about you, you betrayed and now they're gone. And now you're stuck to go back to this jerk who's treated you really badly. And on this show, he screamed and hollered at her like she was a, you know, 2-year-old child and really verbally abused her and stuff. And there you go back to that because you don't have nothing else, you know, and stuff. And you let the person who actually loves you and cares about you go for that. Yeah, okay. And then the last of not least of people is Amina, who Peter Guns decided he would, since the waters of terror was not taking him back, he decided he would go through the easy flow of waters of Amina. She's just, oh my God, she's the all-day sucker, okay? And he was sitting, and they were sitting at some place having lunch, I guess, or something, but nobody ever got any food. But anyway, and then there's a big board, one of those, you know, electronic boards that, you know, put pictures and words up and stuff and do advertisements. And he was saying he would get them a 2-bedroom apartment and stuff. And then he got on the phone. Now, I thought he was going to just say something about getting an apartment, but he didn't. Okay, which personally I think is an empty thing. He's not going to get them an apartment. He's not going to do nothing. But, you know, if you say stuff like that, many women are impressed and think it's really great with absolutely nothing to show that says you're going to do that, you know, and stuff. Because, of course, he's living with her, too. And then he says how much he loves her. And then he puts, I love you, Mrs. Pinky on there. And then she puts little, you know, photos and stuff. He has a little PowerPoint thing, I guess you could say. And she's just crying and so impressed. And he's just saying he's not going to let her go. And I'm thinking, wow, wasn't it like yesterday? He was just thinking about trying to sleep with his baby's mom, and now that didn't go through, I love you so much and you're my wife and I just want to prove. And I was just like, God, this dude is such a narcissist and she's such an idiot. He'd gone to talk to K. Michelle about it. K. Michelle was like, listen, you know, you don't have to go hard, you know, everybody's gonna move on unless they're an idiot, which I love. I really like her. She's really funny to me and stuff. And, you know, and yeah, true, everybody would move on, but, you know, this girl is such an idiot. And, you know, I feel bad for women like that because, you know, at some point you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I've wasted so much time, as Tara has, with this fool with nothing, you know, and stuff. And then you realize it, but the time is already gone. And that really sucks. I mean, I know that feeling. That really sucks. That is a sucky feeling and stuff. And she's such an idiot, and he does this, and she's just so swept away and thinks it's the most. And I'm like, this dude hasn't done anything, and she's just like, I love you so much, and you're just so great, and you're so wonderful. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna, you know, you're my wife. And I'm like, yeah, she's been your wife for a year, and you've kept her hidden. I was just kept thinking, she's been your wife for a whole year, but you kept her hidden. How am I impressed by a PowerPoint presentation? I've been your wife for a year, and you kept me hid as your wife for a year. And now all of a sudden it's just all out. And personally, I'd be thinking something's wrong with this. What's up with this? I really would. All my little red flags would go off, and I'd be like, something is wrong with this. What's up with this? This don't even look right. Okay. After a year of keeping me hidden in the ground, you know, pretty much, okay, hid out like, you know, like in the witness protection program, all of a sudden you're all on boards and you're here, there, and everywhere and all this stuff. Yeah, no, something about this don't ring true. But you know, of course she fell for it and was crying, you know, and thought it was just the most beautiful thing in the world. And personally, I thought it was the most manipulative thing in the world. I don't know, maybe, you know, I guess you'd call me a non-romantic, but to me, somebody treating you that badly and then doing something like that, all it screams to me is, I'm manipulating you. Okay, so we're talking about being a tiebreaker. We're talking about you taking your power back. And essentially, we're talking about you making decisions that would either have bad men go or have people make changes that honor you. Okay, you know. And essentially, all that power is up to you. Okay, you have all that power. I'm just not really sure why women don't think they have all that power. Usually because they think, well, there's some woman that'll come across. Well, yeah, let her get abused. Okay, really? Yeah, there probably is some woman that will come to him and do all the stuff that he wants for them to do and let him walk on her back and all this stuff. But let her get abused. Okay? You don't have to get abused. And it's not like he's the last guy in the world. What is this with women thinking these dudes are like the last dude ever in the world? They're not, okay? There are millions of men in the world and stuff. And if you hold some standards for yourself, if you hold some standards for what you want to be treated like and what you want to have happen, either they will meet them or they will go away. Either way, you win, okay? Everybody on this show, when it comes to the women, you know, usually is, for the most part, has really severely either no standards or lower standards and stuff. And people asking for things, but really not, you know, just asking and really not doing anything to make sure that what it is that they need is being honored. Lots of codependents on this show. Lots of codependent people on this show, okay? You know, Erica Mena for one and stuff. Amina, Lord knows she's codependent and everything. Erica Jean, she's codependent, okay? You know, and there's lots of the, you know, making excuses for people and all this sort of stuff. You know, in the case of Erica Jean and Saigon, somebody who has treated you as badly and has been as kind of flash violent as this man has been with her on several occasions is not somebody I'm trying to move into a house with, okay? You know, it's just not, you know, until, you know, he'd have to get some deep therapy, okay, and stuff, but it's just not. And him telling her, well, you know, you're not going to get anybody else. I'm it. You know, it's just sort of the slap of all slaps, the insult of all insults. The thing of a man telling you, and that's really abusive. Some man telling you, well, nobody's going to want you but me. And that's essentially, that's what he said and stuff, you know. And Erica Mena, you know, just, you know, her actually betraying someone that actually honored her and really, you know, seemed to love her and really want to start a relationship, for someone who had abused her, treated her bad, and on this episode screamed and hollered at her and talked to her bad and cussed at her and all this stuff like she was nothing. Yeah, you know, it's just, you're it, and stuff. And Amina taking back a man who's betrayed her on more occasions than I could even count, okay, and in more ways that should ever be allowed by any human being. It's just she's so needy and so codependent that she would take all of that and then let him do a really trite sort of, crappy I love you and something about getting a 2-bedroom apartment unless you had the key to the apartment, okay? But, it's just sort of this, this really kind of showy of love with no proof. Here's the thing. And love is not it's not a noun. Love is a verb. Love is an action word. And I know you've probably heard that before, but really it is. The way I know people love me is not just by people telling me they love me, which is great. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. You certainly should. But people show me that they love me. Here's how I know that my family and my husband and all this stuff, friends love me, is because we do loving acts. We do stuff that says, I love you, friend, or I love you, mom, or I love you, husband, or I love you, brother, or I love you, niece or nephew, or aunt or uncle, or whatever. We do things, that are loving, and stuff. I mean, my dad showed us he loved us by making sure he went to work every day and he paid the bills and stuff. And my dad told us he loved us all the time. But he showed us that he loves us. And my mom did the same thing. My mom told us she loved us just as more than you could think about, okay? And so, but my mom also did things that were loving toward us. And so, this sort of empty words of I love you with absolutely no actions behind them, absolutely nothing that shows you I love you. Nobody honors you as their wife. Nobody honors you as the mother of their children. Nobody honors you as, as a person that's supposed to be a friend. Nobody honors you. Nobody treats you in a way that would be considered, decent and stuff. No one does that, and stuff. Is betrayal after betrayal after betrayal and lie after lie after lie. Those actions show you that people actually don't love you, and all the explaining, well, I did blah, blah, blah. No. Only thing that matters is what the act was. And if the act was hateful, then I'm going to have to believe you actually hate me. No way I would do a hateful act toward someone I love. No way. But if the act was hateful, I'm going to have to believe that you actually hate me. And so, you being a tiebreaker, you being one that could break the ties with you and this person, you have the power to do that. Everybody can go on their way and do what they want. But only you can make that decision. Because, see, narcissistic people aren't going to let you go. You're not going nowhere with narcissists and abusers. You're not going nowhere. You're useful to them. You're not going nowhere. So it's up to you to be the tiebreaker. And I don't mean, I mean breaking the ties with them. And if you don't, then they'll drag you on whatever dirty, rocky, disgusting path that they have in mind for you. Using you to make themselves feel better. Using you to prop up whatever false image they have of themselves. And stuff. You'll be used and you'll be nothing but a little rag at the end. You got the power, ladies. You got the power. He don't. I don't even know why you keep giving your power away to men. He doesn't. You got that power. Stop giving it away. Stop begging. Stop begging. Nobody should have to beg for love. Nobody should have to beg to be honored and respected. Nobody should have to beg for that. And there are so many examples of begging going on, and stuff. It's sickening. Stop begging. I see black women begging all the time. Stop begging. It's not a good look. It doesn't doesn't do you the honor that you actually deserve. Stop trying to beg people, you know, because kind of the more you beg, the more they seem to hate you. It's just, you know, that seems to be sort of the thing. The more you beg, the more they seem to hate you. Not let you go, but they'll hate you more. The more you try to show any sort of, you know, understanding to somebody who doesn't really understand those sorts of, you know, feelings of, you know, a person being loving and who doesn't really get that, you know, the worse it gets for you. So next week I'll be back with something else. And remember, you are the tiebreaker. You have the power to break ties. And please always have plan B. Okay, I'll talk to you all next week. Stay warm, stay safe. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.